Didn't. Yeah. Not surprised. This just reminded me, have you seen the most recent Kickstarter scam game? It's called Puff Pals Island Skies and raised $2.5 million. The guy behind it basically took the money and went into hiding. You're telling me something called Puff Pals Island Skies raised $2.5 million? Even without knowing it's a scam, I'd hear that and would never even consider putting money into it. Let's see, Puff Pals Island Skies, huh? Wow. This looks even worse than I could have imagined.
I increased the text size
$2.56
on
million
Windows and
here.
it's killing me.
A wholesome life simulator game where you can collect, farm, customize, and explore new lands.
It's not even
cute
that
and
much
fluffy
bigger, but
Puff Pals.
it's enough
And
bigger.
pre-order the game.
Yeah.
See the
It's
pitch.
bigger enough.
Mm.
Like
Excellent
it's just
aspect
rubbing me
ratio here.
wrong.
What the fuck is this? Hello? Pardon? Okay, we'll just go full screen. This take place in heaven, or what's up? Grow and customize your very own farm. No AI voiceover here. This must have predated the wave. Very cool. Not my kind of game. So what happened? You said the creator went into hiding. So he took the money and ran?
I can't right now.
Hold on, Dad's coming.
9,000 comments.
Hold on, wait 1 minute.
Requesting refund, requesting refund, requesting refund, requesting refund. Hey, got some bad news for you. Doesn't work on Kickstarter. There's no obligation, and no one's coming to help you. Learn from the air umbrella. Most recent update is May 20th from Fluff Nest. Let's take a peek. The development of Island Skies has been incredibly challenging, to say the least. For the past few years, we were under NDA with a third-party studio and couldn't discuss many of the things happening behind closed doors. However, now that other parties have made some of that information public, we can speak more openly about what's happened. After Kickstarter, Fluff Nest entered into a milestone agreement with Roommate Studio to develop the features necessary to deliver early access based on the GDD we created for the campaign. Agreement was for $1.1 million over the course of 1 year. This will leave around $500,000 of wiggle room, approximately $1 million from Kickstarter. I don't give a fuck what happened. Problem with management, wasn't ready for early access or alpha. Alright, where things are now. As we approach finalizing the new agreement, it became clear Roommate's senior management does not have a clear understanding of the project's current state, how much work remains. Because of this, we can't trust that the issues we've already faced won't reoccur. We've informed Roommate we won't proceed unless their leadership presents a plan to directly address these issues and commits the necessary resources to Island Skies.
This Kickstarter might be the biggest scam ever, and their CEO is allegedly running from the law. See, a while back, this viral plushie company called Fluff Nest announced that they were making a brand new life sim game called Puff Pals Island Skies, and they raised over $2.5 million out of their $75K goal, mostly by selling limited time plushies that you could only get through the Kickstarter. And Puff Pals looked pretty legit, with trailers showing a lot of the core features already working, so naturally the community trusted the team. But what they didn't know is that by the time the first alpha playtest came out, Fluff Nest had already burned through all the Kickstarter money, with huge chunks of it reportedly going to
so
plushie
classic
instead of the actual game. And when their plushie business
that always
happens in 2025, well, everything spiraled from there, with hundreds of orders going missing without refunds, the Puff Pals trademark expiring, and even the game's website ended up getting shut down. Now, the CEO, named David's been hit with over $2 million in lawsuits from his former employees, the banks, and the website studio that they secretly hired to make the game. But while he's been allegedly dodging service and refusing to show up to court, the backers are left getting ghosted on social media.
Very cool, David. Very interesting. So he tried to outsource the game to another studio to make it. That still didn't work.
I don't think it is charged yet, dude.
Man,
I had it plugged in.
Oh, did
if you can't trust Fluff Nest, who can you trust? Selling plushies of your game before the game even releases is wacky. Well, this is the first I'm learning of this whole company and scam. But based on that short, it looks like the plushies existed first, and in order to drive interest and money to the Kickstarter campaign, they were offering the limited plushies. So it was for their already established plushie business, which ate shit earlier this year and shut down. Seemed like they were a legit business before it went tits up making this game. Maybe. Or maybe this was always the plan, David's nefarious scheme.
Ho ho ho, happy holidays. Hello wonderful person, this is Anton, and today, since we're very close to Christmas, I thought it would be a perfect time to discuss one of the most enduring celestial puzzles in history. We're talking about the famous Star of Bethlehem. Something that's obviously a holiday symbol, but also something that has been a question for several centuries. As a matter of fact, the idea behind Star of Bethlehem has been reported by theologians, historians, and astronomers in over 400 different academic papers and various books, with each of them trying to explain this in some way or another. And the central question here is pretty simple. Was the Star of Bethlehem an actual event?
No, it straight up gives me
real
porn as
astronomical
ads.
phenomenon? And was it physically observed by the Magi
As close as they can get. Like, yeah, they're in yoga shorts or like, no, like straight up leg spread. This dude and I'm a man. Like,
and so today we're going to look beyond the legends,
like,
and
fuck,
obviously beyond
bro,
speculation,
really?
and try to examine some of these scientific facts and scientific evidence, but also focus on one of the most recent studies by Mark Matney that was just released a few weeks ago. And this particular
No, when you're a kid, it's like we were talking about those videos. They don't realize what
likely to be correct.
the fucking liquid spewing everywhere, the way they, but like, yeah, when you're an adult, you know what they're
solve this cosmic enigma.
and why
But
it's
to start,
working
we
on
need to
me.
first
Like,
discuss
yeah, I know
the
why that's
primary
working
source
on
for
me
this
when she
story,
kicks
because
her
this
fucking
is going
leg
to be
over
very
her head,
important,
dude.
especially near the end. And so to understand the star, we must first look at its main source, the Gospel of Matthew, and specifically chapter 2.
Kids
And
don't
the reason this is
realize.
important is because
But yeah, I'm
this
an
is the
adult,
only
and so
source,
yeah, I'd hear
or
that
basically
shit
the
and live. That
primary
doesn't
literary
sound
account,
like a cartoon to
detailing
me,
the story
dude.
of Magi, or the wise men of the
Like,
East,
I know how
as
you're
they're
getting
also
those
sometimes
kids to
referred
watch.
to, and their attempt to follow the star.
Yeah, I
Now
think
here
all
the
Power
author is
Rangers are
actually
like a
writing
lot of
all of
those
this
kids you'll
in the
see. It's
latter half of the 1st century, and so he was not an
know it.
eyewitness and was not even born when the star allegedly was visible. But he probably drew on some of the earlier sources and some of the
Fuck are they
earlier
listening
Christian
to?
writings.
Yep.
And here these wise men, or Magi, sometimes also referred to as
It's an
angels,
anime, but
were
you're like,
probably individuals renowned in the ancient world for their astrological knowledge. And it was the observation of various new stars that they then apparently used in
yeah,
endorsement of new
awkward.
kings. And so in the story, they traveled from the east, suggesting that they came from either the Parthian Empire, likely Babylonia, or Persia. And for these ancient observers, the word star, or aster, encompassed anything that's very bright in the sky and that was not there before. And so this could be a comet, this could also be some kind of a nova or a supernova, or technically it could also be one of the planets that suddenly became much brighter, usually due to some kind of an alignment. They often refer to these objects as wandering stars. And so in this case, by seeing the star in the east and seeing the object as rising, was a kind of an interpretation of potentially new king being born in a location under the star. Or at least that's the main implication from the story. But there's a bit of an astronomical problem here. In the story, the star basically stopped. And so the greatest challenge in identifying the star is in trying to explain his highly unusual behavior as described by Matthew. Here the text says, the star went before them till it came and stood over where the young child was. And so there is a bit of a suggestion here that the star experienced at least two types of motion. First, it moved directly ahead of Magi on the route from Jerusalem to Bethlehem, which would probably take them approximately 3 hours to walk. And second, it then appeared to stop or stand still directly over a specific location. And this very bizarre and physical manner does not conform to any typical movement of celestial bodies, like stars, planets, or normal comets, with many scholars eventually concluding that this description seems to be outside of what is physically possible and is unlikely to be an actual astrophysical object. But nevertheless, in over 400 different reports, we do have at least a few that surprisingly do match some things, at least time-wise, or basically when they happened. And so over time, scientists and historians proposed several conventional astronomical explanations. First, maybe this was just a planetary conjunction. And so here we're talking about two or more planets appearing close together, such as, for example, Jupiter and Saturn, that did have a conjunction in 7 BC and was actually first reported by the famous Johannes Kepler. Likewise, a slightly later conjunction of Jupiter and Venus happened in 2 BC, which would also make the objects appear just a little bit brighter. But the problem was that while these were astrologically significant, they obviously do not explain the motion described in Matthew. None of this would explain why the object suddenly stopped overhead. Furthermore, the ancient Babylonian almanac does not indicate that either 7 BC or 2 BC involved any significant event or involved anything that was particularly noticeable, at least when it comes to planets. And back then, Babylonians were basically the masters of astrology. And actually, Chinese were also pretty interested in stars, but we'll talk about Chinese astrology in a few minutes. And so, if not planetary conjunction, what else could it be? Well, maybe a nova, which is basically an explosion on top of a white dwarf, or a supernova. And these are often very sudden, intense stellar explosions, which usually last for a few weeks to possibly a few months. And here, both Chinese and Korean astronomers did actually record a possible nova in 4 BC. But the problem is that Babylonians did not seem to have noticed it. Basically here it's mentioned in the Chinese and Korean literature, but not Babylonian almanacs. And also, just like planets, these very distant stellar phenomena generally don't move in these very strange ways. They would unlikely to stop over a particular location. Nevertheless, quite a few different studies tried to explore the idea behind supernova and potentially even discovered at least a few remnants, specifically pulsars and neutron stars, that seem to have happened around the time when we expect all of this to take place. You can find the links for these studies in the description below, but here let's briefly discuss at least 2 such events. This is RCW 103, which is essentially a visible supernova remnant that's approximately 2,000 years old. And so this is maybe one of the candidates, except that we don't really know exactly when it happened, because knowing the exact year would be impossible unless it was observed by one of the ancient astronomers. But a much more interesting candidate is the so-called Hall's-Taylor pulsar. This is an extremely famous binary pulsar system whose discovery eventually led to the Nobel Prize. And that's because the system that was discovered in 1974 was composed of a neutron star and a pulsar orbiting a common center of mass. And this became a renowned system for providing first strong evidence for the existence of gravitational waves, or basically it officially proved Einstein's theory of general relativity. And this was actually observed in a very bizarre way. Here, these 2 pulsars, as they orbit around each other, are slowly inching closer and closer together. And this is actually the result of gravitational waves slowly shrinking their orbits. And so here, by observing slight deviations and pulsations from the pulsating neutron star, directly match the predicted values from Einstein's theories, which was a dramatic discovery when it happened, and which is why these 2 scientists, Halls and Taylor, won the Nobel. And so here, this particular object may also have the connection to the Star of Bethlehem. And specifically, this could be the progenitor star that went supernova as well, as it's believed to be approximately 2,000 years old as well. And here it actually may have been that supernova observed in 4 BC. And that's because it appeared in the constellation of Aquila, which is where this particular binary is located. Here, the Chinese astronomers describe this object as a fuzzy star, and so it actually could have been this particular event. But the problem is that once again, if this stellar explosion did occur, it should have been visible to everyone, and it should not be moving across the night skies or stop in a specific location. And so here, the nova or the supernova explanation may also not really make much sense, with the third explanation potentially being some kind of a comet. For example, the Halley's Comet, which appeared in 12 BC and was recorded by the Chinese once again. But this date is generally believed to be a little bit too early, or basically the birth of Jesus in this case should not have happened yet. It should have been a few years later. In addition, historically, comets were often seen as bad omens and actually predicted disasters and not good fortune, which raises the question of why these magi, which would have been pretty familiar with all of this, would follow one of these comets to try to find the king. So here it just didn't really make sense. But this does actually bring us to this very recent study that actually still explores this idea from a slightly different perspective. And specifically, this just being a very bizarre comet. A comet that could have been recorded by the Chinese in 5 BC and that may align with some of these estimates for Jesus' birth. And well, here, according to the Chinese, this was reported as Han Shu, a broom star, or basically a comet. And it was apparently visible in the constellation of Capricornus for approximately 70 days. Here's roughly what this would look like if we were to see this in the night skies. And so in this case, by using historical records, the main researcher, Matney, modeled a plausible orbit for this comet and essentially tried to explain the writing in Matthew by explaining the cometary motion as being super strange. In other words, he actually suggests that this comet may have approached Earth super close. And so in this case, he found a subset of orbits that required the comet to pass very close to Earth around June 5th, 5 BC. And here we're talking about ultra close, basically the distance of Earth to the Moon, roughly around 400,000 kilometers. And he actually suggests that it might have resulted in a remarkable phenomenon, something known as the temporary geosynchronous motion. Basically, imagine an object passing Earth at exactly the right speed and direction to temporarily match and counter Earth's rotation. And so from the perspective of observer on Earth, the object would actually appear stationary for several hours and even be directly overhead. And so in this model, on June 8th of 5 BC, the Magi traveling the road from Jerusalem to Bethlehem would have seen this comet directly in front of them while it was gradually rising in elevation. And when they arrived to Bethlehem, this would have been approximately 10 a.m., the comet would have reached the position in the zenith and be almost exactly overhead. Here, the comet would appear to stop for approximately 2 hours. And because this comet was so close at this point, it would have also been extremely bright, possibly rivaling brightness of the full moon and visible even during daylight hours, which is of course when most of these ancient travelers probably moved. And so had this happened, it would have been an absolutely incredible sight for a lot of these ancient people, something that would definitely lead to some kind of a religious experience. But that's of course assuming that it did happen. Well, here's the problem. This goes back to the original proposition. These Magi, known for their astrological knowledge, would have unlikely to have interpreted a comet as something positive, because most of the Mesopotamian writings usually refer to comets as bad omens, or at least omens signifying some kind of a major change. And this is actually exactly how the Chinese saw them too, and so most of these royal dynasties usually hired astrologists to keep track of this in order to predict any possible changes. And so at least based on those earlier beliefs, some of the things here don't really add up. On top of this, the more important question here is, why exactly was it not reported by anyone else? If this 5 BC comet truly passed so close to Earth, it would have been extraordinarily bright, potentially even rivaling the moon in full brightness, and this would have been visible to pretty much everyone, independent of their location. It would have appeared in multiple historical accounts across different cultures, and would have created a lot of buzz way beyond just one single chapter in the Bible. Yet despite of this, none of the sources in the Greco-Roman records, or any other historians around this time, report anything. As a matter of fact, one of the more famous historians around this time, the historian Flavius Josephus, whose works cover this period, would have definitely reported this event in one of his writings. But neither Flavius Josephus nor the Roman historian Cassius Dio seem to have seen anything. And well, lastly, there's also the idea behind this object being so close to Earth. Because in order for this object to appear as if it stopped somewhere, it would have to be extremely close to Earth, and would actually have to maintain exactly the right speed and direction in order to match the Earth's rotation. And that's just extremely unlikely. This will be the first such astronomical object ever, and would just be extremely unlikely in terms of statistics. And so a lot of things in this case just don't really add up. Which I guess brings us to the main question. So, was the star real or not? Well, we cannot say with 100% certainty, but we can definitely try to make some conclusions based on what we know about writings around this time, and based on some of the evidence from both Chinese and Korean observers. First of all, we know that this Star of Bethlehem seems to be only recorded and mentioned in the Gospel of Matthew. In contrast, the Gospel of Luke, which also details the birth of Jesus, mentions neither Magi nor the star, which means that the most likely explanation right now is that this was some kind of a religious or pious fiction, or basically something that was used as a kind of a literary device. And this conclusion is supported by several factors drawn from some of the original source material. For example, the motion of this object is just kind of impossible. Except for that cometary explanation, nothing else really makes sense, and if it did happen, a lot of other people would have noticed it. And so modern astronomical candidates, including comets or supernova, are extremely unlikely to explain this temporary geosynchronous motion. Likewise, there's just a general lack of historical collaboration. If this was indeed some kind of a spectacular star, it would have definitely appeared in multiple ancient records in many different cultures. But since there is no apparent mention of this in Greco-Roman historical sources, it means that nothing unusual happened around this time, because someone would have definitely noticed it. But importantly, because the story seems to be unique to Matthew, most scholars today believe that all of this was essentially religious fiction, not a historical event, and instead was a type of a religious myth. And so here Matthew's narrative links the birth of Jesus to the star prophecy from the book of Numbers in order to confirm his messianic status and in order to fulfill one of the prophecies. And so there's a very high chance that there was really never any physical object, and Star of Bethlehem never really happened. And that's not my conclusion, that's the dominant scholarly conclusion after centuries and centuries of research and over 400 different publications. Or at least based on a lot of previous research, we can pretty certainly conclude that there was no one astronomical event that could have explained everything described in Matthew. The geosynchronous comet potentially explaining the motion just doesn't really make sense in a lot of other ways. And so at least for now, that's the overall conclusion. Now, it could have been a comet, it could have been a supernova, or it could have been just religious writing from the 1st century AD. And so until future studies or until we discover something else, that's all I wanted to mention. Thank you for watching, subscribe, come back tomorrow to learn something else, support the channel on Patreon where you can find additional videos without any ads and can DM me directly, or by joining a channel membership that grants you early access. You can also support this channel by buying the Wonderful Person t-shirt in the description below. Stay wonderful, happy holidays, and as always, bye-bye.
Camazotz. Camazotz is one of the most terrifying figures in Mayan cosmology because he is not a moral deity. He does not punish sin, he does not weigh good against evil, and he offers no path to redemption. Camazotz is the mechanism of death itself, cold, sudden, and non-negotiable. His name derives from the Kiech language, Kama, death, and Zotz, bat, defining him as the death bat. The primary source regarding Camazotz is the Popol Vuh, the sacred cosmogonic text of the Quiche Maya. In this narrative, Camazotz inhabits one of the most perilous chambers in Xibalba, the underworld, the House of Bats, Zotzilaha. This place is not a courtroom, it is a trap. Living beings who enter are not judged, they are slaughtered. One of the most famous episodes describes Camazotz decapitating one of the hero twins when he momentarily emerged from hiding. There was no warning, there was no dialogue, only instant execution. In iconography, Camazotz is depicted as a humanoid creature with the head of a bat. carrying obsidian knives and possessing a strong connection to ritual blood sacrifice. In Mayan culture, the bat was not a symbol of wisdom like the owl. Rather, it was a liminal creature, dwelling in caves, emerging at night, and associated with blood. This explains why Camazotz is often linked to decapitation, a ritual practice that was a stark reality in Mesoamerican society. What makes Camazotz truly haunting is his position in Mayan theology. He is not an anomaly, but a legitimate part of the cosmic order. Death was not considered a deviation, it was a function. Camazotz represents the primal human fear of a death that comes not because of a fault, but simply because one was in the wrong place at the wrong time. In the Mayan world, that was not an evil. It was a reality. Nergal was one of the most feared gods in the ancient Mesopotamian world because he represented disasters that were invisible yet lethal, plagues, epidemics, and mass death. Unlike a war god who brings destruction through weaponry, Nergal kills silently through heat, wind, and diseases that spread without any pattern understandable to the people of that era. In Akkadian and Babylonian texts, he is often called the Lord of Summer, because the Mesopotamian summer was synonymous with extreme heat, drought, and a surge in mortality. Nergal was not merely a god of disease, he was also the ruler of the underworld alongside Ereshkigal. This means he did not only cause death, but he also presided over what happened afterward. In the Epic of Era, a pivotal Babylonian text, Nergal, under the name Era, is depicted losing control and unleashing destruction without moral cause. Cities were abandoned, the social order collapsed, and even the other gods were unable to stop him. The message of the text is clear. Disaster does not always have an ethical reason. In religious practice, Nergal was not fought, he was appeased. Prayers, amulets, and exorcism rituals were intended not to defeat him, but to divert his attention elsewhere. When a plague struck, society did not ask who has sinned, but rather, how do we make Nergal go away? The terror of Nergal lies in the theological rationality behind him. He explains a world where the righteous and the wicked die just the same, where children and kings are equally vulnerable. In Mesopotamian cosmology, Nergal is a brutal acknowledgement that the universe does not owe justice to humanity, and disease is one of the ways the gods remind us of that. Chernobog. Chernobog is one of the darkest figures in ancient Slavic cosmology because he was never positioned as a god who does something, but rather as the god who causes everything to fail. His name literally means black god, and he represents misfortune, ill fate, suffering, and destruction that arrives without an obvious cause. Unlike other gods who have heroic myths or structured rituals, Chernobog had almost no official cult because he was not worshipped. He was dreaded. Written sources on Chernobog are limited, primarily coming from 12th century chronicles like the work of Helmold of Bosau. Yet this scarcity reinforces his nature. Chernobog is not a storybook figure, but a theological concept regarding the dark side of reality. He was believed to be present in crop failures, accidents, local plagues, and sudden deaths. If something went wrong without explanation, the ancient Slavs would speak the name of Chernobog, not as a prayer, but as an acknowledgement. Terrifyingly, Chernobog was not depicted as the direct enemy of the god of light, Belobog. The two were not in a cosmic war, but in a state of coexistence. The world functions because of the balance between light and dark. This implies that evil is not a system failure, it is part of the design. In this context, Chernobog teaches something deeply uncomfortable. Not all suffering carries moral meaning. Not every misfortune is a punishment. Some things simply happen because the world possesses a legitimate dark side. To the modern mind, this feels nihilistic. But for the ancient Slavs, Chernobog was an honest way to explain a bitter truth. Life is not always fair, and the gods do not always care. Kali.
Only Russian.
Kali is one of the most misunderstood figures in the history of religion. To an outside observer, she appears as a brutal goddess, dark blue or black-skinned, tongue protruding, wearing a necklace of skulls and standing atop a corpse. However, in Hindu theology, particularly the Shakta tradition, Kali is not a symbol of evil, but the ultimate manifestation of a non-negotiable cosmic truth. Everything that is born must be destroyed. The name Kali is derived from the word Kala, which means time. This is crucial because in Indian philosophy, time is not a neutral flow but an all-consuming force. Kali is the personification of time itself, that which devours ego, identity, the body, and even the gods. She does not punish humans for moral sins. She destroys because of attachment. In many tantric texts, Kali appears not to torture, but to sever the illusion that anything can be eternal. Kali's iconography is profoundly symbolic. The skulls around her neck represent the letters of the Sanskrit alphabet, the language of the cosmos, which have died and been transcended. The blood and corpses surrounding her signify the destruction of old realities so that spiritual rebirth can occur. The fact that she is often depicted standing on the body of Shiva is not a sign of hostility, but a metaphysical message. Pure consciousness, Shiva is inert without the destructive energy, Kali, to move it. What makes Kali terrifying is her honesty. She offers no consolation, only liberation, and that liberation demands the total death of the ego. In many modern spiritual movements, this concept is considered too extreme, yet that is precisely where Kali stands. She's the goddess for those ready to lose everything for the sake of truth. In Hindu theology, that is not horror. It is the most dangerous form of enlightenment.
Or maybe they changed the saying on that.
Discalipoca is one of the most dangerous deities in Aztec cosmology because he does not destroy through direct violence, but through psychological manipulation and illusion. His name means smoking mirror, referring to obsidian, the reflective black stone used by the Aztecs for divination and ritual. In their belief system, Tezcatlipoca could see into the human mind, show glimpses of the future, and then lead the soul astray. Unlike a god of war or death, Tezcatlipoca operated as an existential tester. He was known as the god of the night, fate, and internal conflict. Many myths describe him toppling kings and nobles not through assassination, but by driving them to madness, paranoia, or a drunken lust for power. In one famous tale, he deceived Quetzalcoatl with an intoxicating drink, triggering the god's moral downfall and self-exile, a metaphor for the collapse of the old order due to internal weakness. In Aztec religious practice, Tezcatlipoca was honored with extreme rituals. One was the ceremony of Toxcal, where a young man was chosen to live for 1 year as the incarnation of the god, revered, given symbolic wives, and living in luxury before ultimately being sacrificed. This ritual was not an act of sadism, but a theological lesson. Power, beauty, and life itself are temporary.
They used to
what makes Tezcatlipoca truly terrifying is his role as an inner mirror.
I could be wrong.
He does not create evil, he reveals it. When someone fell, the Aztecs did not always blame sin, but rather the failure to understand oneself.
I was pretty sure.
In this theology, destruction is not an external attack, but the consequence of an illusion believed for too long. For Ammit represents one of the most chilling concepts in ancient Egyptian theology, not because she kills the body, but because she erases the total existence of the soul. Ammit was not a goddess to be worshipped. She had no temples and received no prayers.
Do I have time?
She was a tool of cosmic execution, a creature who appeared only at the most decisive moment of the human journey after death. In the ritual of the weighing of the heart, the soul of the deceased was brought before Osiris. The heart was weighed against the feather of Ma'at, the symbol of truth, order, and cosmic justice. If the heart was heavier because it was filled with lies, violence, or moral imbalance, Ammit would step forward.
Pretty soon, this is going to be a job,
She was depicted as a hybrid creature with the head of a crocodile, the mane of a lion, and the hindquarters of a hippopotamus, the three most feared predators of the Nile. Ammit would then devour the heart of the soul, causing what was known as the second death. What makes Ammit far more terrifying than the concept of hell is the consequence she brings. There is no eternal torture, no redemption, and no consciousness after the punishment. The soul eaten by Ammit vanishes completely.
Pause. Boom. Come on. I'm coming, art creators. I know. It's all a little much. Oh, it's a little much, damn. It's 1996 again. 1999. Waiting on your computer. For real, for real. It's a beautiful morning. Yeah. Fuck no, I'm not using that keyboard, dude. You're out of your fucking mind. That is fucking who?
This is Apollo.
Who would
Did you
do
bring
that?
those grenades, Raider? My new designs look great on
Who
paper,
would
but
do that?
I'll need someone to chuck them at some machines to know anything for sure.
Over here. There. head home at the North Complex elevator. Don't shoot! Don't shoot!
You have 10 minutes to return to Speranza. I repeat, 10 minutes.
I thought I was fighting one machine and then. That's keep the marker in.
I'm trying to fall out.
So you don't lose it. That's a special marker. It goes with that notepad.
We'll have to marker the notepad won't work today.
Uh-huh.
Put down. Yeah.
Got rocked. Don't come over here coughing. Don't.
My washing machine is ready.
Almost. We'll see. I don't know if they're doing deliveries today or not. We'll have to see. It says it's doing deliveries. Deliveries. Oh, we'll have to see. Okay. Kid.
Come on.
Come on.
Babe, I washing machine chair.
You gotta wait for your washing machine chair. How about your spanking chair?
No.
Spanking.
Washing machine chair.
A washing machine chair. Your breakfast chair. You what? Okay, hold on.
Yeah,
I gotta clean the table off. Easy. Yep, cough it out. God. Don't get rid of that cough. I'm taking you in, bro. No, it's just a little nagging cough, but still. All right, watch it, baby. Go wipe it.
go watch your TV for a moment. Okay?
What?
It's gonna be just a few minutes.
I don't need no stinking TV.
Or your whatever you're doing.
Chum.
So, processing delays are expected. Bring patients or a book.
Hey, yeah, it's kicking my ass. Microwave it for a minute. I think that works with eggs pretty well. I could be wrong. But I don't know. I think someone told me that one time.
If you've been hoarding supplies, now's the time to share. Or don't. Whatever.
Your eggs are underdone.
I could try.
Completely removed from the cosmic order and erased from divine memory. For the ancient Egyptians, who placed immense value on immortality, this was the most absolute punishment imaginable. Amit reflects a very cold yet rational Egyptian view of justice. The universe does not require revenge, it only requires balance. If a person is too weighed down by moral chaos, they are not tortured, they are deleted. In this framework, Amit is not a monster. She is the evidence that not every soul is...
Are you ready? I talked to my healthcare provider about Lybalvi. That's Lybalvi. Ask your healthcare provider about Lybalvi by name. Find out more at Lybalvi.com.
Hello. Hello, Nicole. Hello, Nicola. Thank you very much. I was messing with you, did you hear me?
Yeah, I thought you guys.
Foundation secured. Structure complete.
soul is worthy of being carried into eternity. Moloch. Moloch is one of the most harrowing figures in the history of ancient belief because he represents an absolute obedience that negates human conscience. Originating from the ancient Levant, Canaan, and its surroundings, Moloch is frequently associated with the ritual sacrifice of children by fire. Hebrew sources, including the texts of the Old Testament, explicitly condemn the practice of passing children through the fire as a form of worship to Moloch, a condemnation that indicates the practice was once a known and stark reality. Theologically, Moloch was not a god who offered personal blessings or salvation. He was a symbol of divine power that demanded the highest possible price. In many scholarly interpretations, Moloch is not just an individual figure, but a ritual system where social stability, harvests, or military victories were redeemed with the lives of the next generation. Fire became the medium because it was viewed as both a purifier and a destroyer, transforming the victim into a total offering. What makes Moloch so terrifying is not just the violence, but the logic behind it. Parents did not offer their children out of hatred, but out of faith. In this framework, familial love was sacrificed for the sake of a greater cosmic order. This created an extreme moral conflict, when religion demands something that contradicts the most basic human instincts. In modern discourse, Moloch is often used as a metaphor for any system, political, economic, or ideological, that continues to function by sacrificing faceless human beings.
What are you playing
That is
over
the
there,
deepest
kid?
legacy of Moloch. He is not just an ancient god of fire, but an eternal warning of what happens when obedience is placed higher than humanity. Lamashtu. Lamashtu is a deeply unsettling figure in Mesopotamian cosmology. Because of her ambiguous position, she is a legitimate demon goddess, not an illegal entity to be destroyed. She was believed to strike pregnant mothers, kill infants, cause miscarriages, and spread disease during the postpartum period. What makes her unique and terrifying is the fact that ancient society did not attempt to exorcise her, but rather to appease her. Akkadian and Babylonian texts describe Lamashtu as the daughter of the sky god Anu. Her divine status made her immune to standard exorcisms. She walked freely in the human world, drinking the blood of infants and poisoning the wells of life. In iconography, Lamashtu is depicted with the head of a lion or a bird, the teeth of a donkey, bare breasts, and snakes in her hands, a distorted symbol of motherhood. The religious response to Lamashtu was intensely pragmatic. Pregnant mothers wore special amulets, particularly those featuring Pazuzu, another demon who was actually used as a deterrent against her. Ironically, protection from Lamashtu came not from a good god, but from an even greater terror. This illustrates a very realistic Mesopotamian theology. The world is not divided between good and evil, but between competing forces of pressure. The most frightening aspect of Lamashtu is her implicit message. Infant mortality and childbirth complications, phenomena that were once devastatingly common, were not viewed as accidents, but as the active presence of a cosmic force. Thus, a mother's most personal suffering was explained not morally, but cosmologically. Lamashtu is a brutal acknowledgement that not every tragedy can be prevented, and not every evil can be cast out. Some can only be bargained with, so they do not come today. Wiro. Wiro is the most frightening personification of darkness in Maori cosmology because he does not attack frontally. He does not bring the apocalypse, he does not hurl lightning, and he does not destroy the world in a single dramatic moment. Wiro works slowly, through disease, the weakening of the soul, and a spiritual decay that is almost imperceptible. In Maori belief, this is the most dangerous form of evil. Wiro is the cosmic adversary of Ton, the god of light and life. However, their conflict is not an open war, but a continuous tug of war between growth and decline. Wiro is associated with mate, disease, inner darkness, and a death that stems from imbalance. When a person falls ill without an obvious cause, or a community loses its vitality, Wiro is considered to be growing strong. Unlike many other dark figures, Wiro was not typically worshipped. He was avoided, kept at a distance, and held back through rituals of balance. Prayers, restrictions, tapu, and harmony with nature served as a fortress to prevent Wiro's influence from seeping in. This shows that in Maori theology, evil is not an enemy that can be defeated once and for all, but a process that must be constantly prevented. What makes Wiro truly terrifying is his relevance to the actual human experience. He explains how a person can die before they die, losing spirit, purpose, and connection long before the body stops functioning. In this framework, framework, physical death is merely the end of a process that began long ago. Wero is not a symbol of total chaos. He is a warning that if balance is violated for too long, life does not collapse all at once. It rots from within, slowly, silently, and inevitably. It's Papalotl. Papalotl is one of the most haunting figures in Aztec mythology because she combines two symbols that seem to be opposites, beauty and brutal death. Her name means obsidian butterfly, a paradoxical image. The butterfly symbolizes the soul and transformation, while obsidian is the sharp stone used for human sacrifice. In its Papalotl, transformation is never gentle. It is always bloody. Its Papalotl is linked to the Tzitzimimi, female star spirits believed to descend to Earth and devour humanity if the sun ever failed to rise. She is specifically associated with women who died in childbirth, who in Aztec cosmology were considered equal to warriors fallen on the battlefield. These souls turned into dangerous beings not because of sin, but because their deaths were believed to carry a massive cosmic charge. In iconography, its Papalotl is depicted with wings of obsidian blades, fangs, and often carrying the symbols of sacrifice. She's not a goddess who comforts a mother's grief, but rather the explanation for why death in childbirth was so terrifying and sacred. Her existence confirms that birth and death are two sides of the same process. What makes its Papalotl truly terrifying is her theological message. Even the most natural and hopeful event, birth, can lead to a destruction that carries cosmic significance. There is no guarantee of safety in the process of creating life. In the Aztec world, its Papalotl teaches that beauty is not the opposite of violence. Both can be present simultaneously, and it is precisely in that union where the horror lies.
What's the food? It's too hot. I do like it.
Extraction. Moment of courage, risk, and hope. But for the red, this is opportunity. A brilliant technical move by not so technical player.
Hey, don't be taking notes up. No, I don't.
I do. I do. I love you.
I love you all. But I love you all. I didn't like not to talk. You didn't try. I didn't like it. You didn't try it. Oh,
It's freaking, bro.
is Mike the five? Did you bust it? Started you, baby. No, I just all talking back and just started eating. It tastes like a biscuit and it's your favorite.
This is like egg baked, like crescent rolls on top.
Mm-hmm. Do you like it? Yeah, it's just boiling that out juice. We'll go this one. Thank God. Okay. They should be hovering. I'll have to take curls out.
Although I picked the wrong kind of crescent rolls. Yeah, I picked a crescent roll sheet. It was like, okay, so then I just kind of have to cut them. So I think it's not quite as fluffy as it should be.
I'll feel the you watching me.
We're doing a puzzle? Okay. So did you try to check into the DMV at all today? Or?
Yeah.
Try not to use more than you absolutely need.
What's a DMV?
That's Department of Motor Vehicles. We technically don't have one. We have a Department of Public Safety.
Oh. Oh yeah, some of my curls at the end fell out. Not fell out, but you know. Everything they don't know, everything they try.
But yeah, if you're gonna do it this week, probably not gonna be open on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, so those days are out. And you also, if you can get in, you need to check over everything that we need to bring with us too.
Did you smell burning? It's probably just the generator and everything else. Reported anyway.
We've got bread and do you want me to take out your flowers?
Alright, if you're down, come clean up your stuff, please.
You guys want one?
I might put it outside your dad.
Let's take out your curler.
And yes, she'll play Barbies with you guys play. Get off of it, Sean. Please. Alright, babe. Turn off that tablet and check it in. Try to hold it.
There's a Lincoln sector. Maintenance says it's really
I'm rinsing it.
No, my Bobby doesn't be cold outside. Okay, we're having an appointment. Where's the Bobby plastic? We're having an appointment.
How was it? Was it cooked?
Wow, something happened with the Carlins. What?
Not enough. Ooh, look at that one now.
It's like midnight. Yeah, I wrapped them all. Oh, every single one. But the apple one made my Bobby adopted.
Every single one? Unique? What?
Can you what? Make her a jacket?
I heard about that. Pretty hot stuff. Yeah, I guess we have graduated. We built a colony.
Okay, we want the hairline. Hello, I'm doing mine.
I live on the second floor.
Oh, okay. My name is Chloe. My Bobby.
Crash out. Yeah, crash out chicken. You're not a big fan of crash out. Huh. Okay. I don't know why they're so quiet. Probably the mic. The chicken crash out game. No one wants to play the chicken crash. Okay. Mom. I just had
Security sweeps are happening, but don't expect too much. They're stretched thin.
Yeah, still not good going.
The East Bronx recycling station is filling in. It will be empty at some point.
Oh, your hair done. I say just for now. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. I would tell
Girl.
Oh, you're right.
Girl.
Because now you can voice her up.
With a crash out.
Super sauce. Okay. Fuck the AI. I'm gonna try to hook this up to the teacher. I think this
Everything we need.
Oh, I need more content. I'm fucking dude. How much are you fucking playing? I still don't even know what the yeah, of content for a normal person, but not bad. Yeah,
Didi, I got everything we need. Didi, we got. Didi, Didi, that everything.
that's okay.
You also did it. You also did it. Like this,
Tillman here. Listen up. You can call in a drop from a supply call station. Just keep your gun at the ready when one comes down. They tend to be like honey to flies.
See, you're not my head. You're your head. Baba. That's all there's a big. Mama. Stop. Wait, what? My name is Bob. I have to get.
Don't shoot! Let's go to research and administration.
I guess they can do all that in the world. No, no. Did I see a couple?
And here, the rat reveals its true nature. This is the moment I decided to study rats. Our study begins here, with the basic extraction camper rat. As you can see, it suffers from low awareness, poor decision making and questionable aim. Watch this encounter again. 2 solo players entered the extraction zone, but the rat remained completely unaware of both players and chose to push anyway. The decision that cost it its life. You will encounter this type of rat on every map, at any hour, day or night. But just like a real rat, they prefer darkness and are most active around extraction at night, when visibility drops. Here's a classic example. I drop into metro extraction, hit the button, and instantly the rat attempts to strike me down. But as we know, rats suffer from skill issue, and this one still loses the fight. Even in my intro, rat could not finish the job. I managed to escape, and in true rat fashion, it refuses to push. The fear of losing outweighs the desire to win. Sadly, I was eliminated by the arcs shortly after. But this moment proves something important. Even with every advantage, rat still loses at least half of their fights. So how do you counter them? Simply never let your guard down at extraction. Always check corners, always expect company, and don't be like me, getting excited about my loot and walking straight into simplest trap ever planted. But now we move to more unpredictable species, one that reveals itself only when it's already too late. Why unpredictable? Because there's simply no way to know when you are about to meet one. This is a corner rat. This type of rat makes no sound. It places a trap and waits. The traps vary, from simple shock mines to carefully staged dead bodies, all designed to lure you in and steal your loot. Like all rats, this species is most active at night, but there is one place where it thrives above all others. The buried city, packed with tight rooms, narrow corridors and high-value loot. It's a perfect hunting ground. The corner rat simply can't resist, sitting in a dark corner, waiting for you to walk in with all your goodies. And the only way to counter this rat is simple. You must out-aim it. In this example, I found a dead body on the floor. Immediately, I knew someone is nearby. I can even hear someone moving behind the walls.
Don't forget
but as soon
about
as the rat
searching the
hears
drones
me,
after you take them down.
all noises stops. Complete silence. It's hiding in one of the rooms, waiting for me to enter. And when I jump in the room, there it is, a rat staring at me, and still failing to kill me. After I start throwing grenades, it panics and hides in a corner, too scared to move even an inch, and only when I push first do I find it, holding an angle and still losing the fight. But sadly, we can see the rat's second victim in this room. After looting, I get jumped by another rat, this one hiding in complete darkness. I could not even see it. This species is far more dangerous. It wins far more often and always waits for the perfect moment to strike. Now we move to rat species that has recently gone extinct.
You can always build an explosion station in your workshop.
Once known for sneaking into locked rooms without keys, this species relied not on skill, but on glitches. And I caught it red-handed once.
What a waste.
In the buried city, I went to loot the town hall. But when I arrived, the door had a barricade. I took it down and the door was still locked. That meant only one thing. Someone had explored their way inside. But my god told me to open the door anyway. And inside I found a dead rat. Unarmed, no weapons, just lying on the floor, killed by arm. The remains of creature that looted through the walls, not skill. Thankfully, this rat is now gone for good. And now, the rat you will meet often. The backstabber rat. This rat will quietly observe you,
See what I mean with the hair braid? How it's like both curls back?
It won't chew, it won't move, it won't make a sound. It simply waits for a perfect moment, and the moment you turn your back, then it fires. And finally, a species closely related to backstabber rat, but far more dangerous. This is the fake friend rat. A creature that pretends to be friendly, but the moment it sees an opening, it betrays you. Sadly, I have met this rat many times. Sometimes it just stands there, staring at you, as if Dark Sidious himself is whispering in its ear, "Do it," and say snap. The only way to survive this rat: never trust anyone, stay alert, be ready to fight, always. That's the rat species I have seen so far in our craters. If you have discovered any other lurking in the wild, let me know in the comments, and remember, the rats are always around. See you next one.
No. No.
I haven't shared my life engine for many years. I live alone. My work is complete. But today, I did feel fear.
Someone! Do it! Do it! Do it! Nope. I'm in the house!
And now, a leap into the unknown.
28 years later, on Bone Temple, January 16th.
The human brain has one big advantage over today's artificially intelligent systems. It runs on dramatically less energy, 100,000 times less. So why don't we just build computers out of brain cells and program those? Not only would this save a lot of energy, we'd also have machines that are neatly biocompatible for our impending upgrade. This already exists. Let's have a look. The Australian company Cortical Labs sells a biological computer called the CL1, which contains about 800,000 living human neurons grown on a chip. The neurons are hooked onto electronics that can be used to stimulate them and record their activity. The neurons are housed in a life support module that keeps the cells alive for several months. The device was launched in 2025 and reportedly costs around $35,000, though the company also offers cloud access. In 2022, the company made headlines by publishing a paper in which they explained how they trained a cluster of live neurons to play the computer game Pong, in the sense that the neurons learn to update the position of a hypothetical paddle given a stimulus that encodes the position of the ball. The company
You like the tornadoes? No. What about milk? No. Egg milk? No. Wait. Okay, here's chocolate milk. It's chocolate milk. Okay. Come on, Kiki, what? Go! Kiki, go! Hey, girl, show me the bed. Can I make my bed? No, we don't want to make the bed.
final spark in Switzerland.
After that, you and after that, hey, keep it up there to bed.
Don't shoot!
Hey, don't shoot! Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Don't forget about searching the drones after you take them down.
The light, the greenery. You can almost picture us living topside again. Growing food may seem frivolous with Ark overhead, but raiders get hungry just like anybody else. Make good use of that.
Annabelle, come help me. It's my bed. Isabel, why are you making me my Isabel? And all of these are my zippers. These are my zippers. These are my zippers. Mom, Mom. I feel my zippers, Mom. Oh, I love them.
Reminder, main profit is not a market, battleground, or gym. At least not all at once.
Are they fire zippers? My tablet! The tablet? Uh-huh. Tablet.
If you trade fish, wrap it tighter, please.
Okay.
Education warning. Students found sabotaging lesson text will be reallocated to pipe repair class.
Hey, come let out your cat. Have they been fed this morning?
Reminder. No unauthorized modifications to generators unless you enjoy dark tunnels.
I want cat. Come on. What?
What? What? What? Water? Water? Yeah. I don't know. Hey, this guy is outside.
Apollo here. Did you bring those grenades, Raider? My new designs look great on paper, but I'll need someone to chuck them at some machines to know anything for sure.
Head home at the North Complex elevator.
Oh, you were 7 kills. Oh my god.
Don't shoot!
An arc orbiter is en route. The safe window is closing. 10 minutes to get out of there. I repeat, 10 minutes.
Don't shoot!
Thanks.
Don't forget about searching the drones after you take them down.
Works on a similar thing. They grow tiny chunks of human brains with about 10,000 neurons each on electronic chips, and, since earlier this year, they offer remote access for as little as $5,000 per month. And if you have that much money, please check out my Patreon. They also published a research paper a few months ago in which they showed that one